Who's the leader of the pack? Bringing legacy to you. Legacy, it's true. Stand up, gear up, join the fight. We're as fierce as we can be. With grit and might, we claim the night. We're the legacy. Legacy Club. Legacy Club. Strong and unbreakable. Warriors with fire inside. In our hearts we're invincible. Legacy Club.
Whoa. Yo. I don't know. I like it though. I was trying to figure out where I got that glass from. I think I got it from Monster Mania years and years ago. Convention. What up? What is happening, folks? Look at this. Look at me. Look at we. You and I and that guy. We're doing it. We're back. We're back. Consecutive days. This is daunting. Welcome back to the Legacy Club. My name is Justin, a.k.a. Portuguese Problem, a.k.a. What was it? The Menace of Madeira, a.k.a. the Azorian Nightmare. I kind of like that one the best. Welcome back. Welcome back to day 2. Day consecutive 2 of our daily podcast. Daily show. Committed. Doing it. Really doing it. Today was harder. Today was harder because Rhodes didn't want to go to bed. He was tired, but, fought it. He fought it. He was fighting it. I had to eventually cave and just take him upstairs and hand him off to Mom. He does this thing, man, where sometimes he can't get comfortable downstairs. We got 2 little ones. And tonight, Maverick is pretty good at going to bed. He went upstairs with Mom and went to bed fairly easily. And then Rhodes was just like clearly tired, but just couldn't get situated. Usually Mom will take Mav upstairs. Mav will go to sleep. Rhodes will fall asleep like laying on top of me while we watch TV or whatever. Sometimes though, he'll roll off me and just kind of like sit on the floor, or he'll roll off me and stand and go to the edge of the couch and just like lay his head down. So I think that's what was happening tonight. I'm not getting a good range on this guy. Maybe I should have done this before I started, but hey, you know what? Whatever. There we go. Woo, much better. Closer to my mouth. I forgot what I was gonna say, but I want to work on this background, man. I like my ears there. My wife got me a pair of Oswald ears, so I want to include those in, the backdrop here. I really want to take my Oswald ears to Disney and get them monogrammed like that. So I got to remember to do that. But I always get sketched out when I think about it because, man, I'm afraid they'll get crushed. Because Oswald ears, I don't know if they still do them. I think it was special for the Disney 100, but I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So I'd hate for them to get smooshed. I also have a stuffed Oswald that would be cool to incorporate down here. So, work in progress. Still looks pretty good, though, I think. Wow. Today was fun. Today was very, it's another dad day. I was trying to get the yesterday's episode edited and posted while simultaneously, doing the thing, doing the dad thing, catering to the needs of the younglings. We did it though. It's up and out, and we're doing this one. We're on to the next. On to the next. Probably going to be a shorter one. It's later tonight than it was yesterday. That's okay though. That is perfectly fine because we don't have to go super duper long, And who knows? Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I did, however, jot down some things I wanted to talk about. Maybe one thing. But today, another thing today that took a turn that was a little time consuming. My mother-in-law on Facebook Marketplace, I guess, stumbled upon a free piano. A Rulitzer. I don't know. Looks like something Ray Charles would have played. It was not in the greatest condition, but she needed a hand in picking it up. She needed some muscle that I don't really have very much of it, but whatever. I was able to help. It was weird. We had to go to an old retirement apartment complex. That was interesting. It was a nice place, but I kind of I caught on to the lady's ploy. The lady's ploy. It was free. It was free because she just needed it out of her apartment. And while the three of us went, it was me, my mother-in-law, and my one of my wife and I's kids, our oldest, Rylan. We went together and picked up this piano. The lady, she needed the piano out because she wanted to rearrange her living room. I figured it out because as soon as we got the piano out of her apartment, she was like, "Hey, since you two gents are here, would you mind helping me move my couch?" And I was like, "Oh, that's the real ploy here." You put up a free piano because you're like, I can get some free help here. And it was fine. It was cool. It was whatever. Piano was kind of heavy. Couch was pretty light. We did it. We made it work. I realized today that I just kind of spew words a lot. And I took offense to the lady not finding me funny when we got the free piano, we moved her couch, and as soon as I moved her couch, I was like, all right, cool, thanks, that'd be $50. And she didn't even acknowledge it. And I thought it was pretty funny, but whatever, it's okay. I get that a lot, I think, where I just, word vomit things I find comical, and then I notice when people don't laugh. Whatever. Hopefully you're laughing at home at the times I'm laughing, and maybe at the times I'm not laughing. Who knows? So that was an adventure today. It's supposed to snow tonight, which is, we'll see. The thing about Nashville is a lot of times when they call for snow, it never actually does it. And then the times where they're like, it's not going to snow, then we get dumped on. So I don't know. What does it take to be a meteorologist? Like, I understand there's a science to it, but when you so frequently are incorrect, what's your job then? Because I could incorrectly predict the weather. That doesn't seem like a challenging thing to do. I could go on the news and be like, hey, tomorrow's going to be sunny, and then it rains. Like, I don't know. It seems like a scam. All of it's a scam. Everything's a scam except leallegacy.com. It's the one thing that's not a scam. It's the one thing you can find dependable. One of the things I saw online today that I wanted to touch on, just because I care. Maybe some of you care. Maybe some of you don't. I think it was UFC posted what fights are you looking, what fights do you want to see? That's what it was. It wasn't looking forward to. It's what fights do you want to see in 2025? And I have answers to that. So this year in the MMA world, specifically UFC, I don't necessarily keep up with a lot of the other fight promotions. When it comes to MMA, when it comes to mixed martial arts, UFC is pretty much the end all be all, in my opinion. I don't really know what else is left. PFL is left, but who cares? Bellator, I think, was absorbed by the PFL. And again, who cares? I do keep up with other one, like I like bare knuckle. I like bare knuckle boxing. I somewhat keep up with bare knuckle boxing. I don't know a whole lot of the players, like the fighters in the organization, unless they came from the UFC. I don't really keep up with the names in that organization, again, unless they came from the UFC. Like, Eddie Alvarez is fighting in bare knuckle right now. Mike Perry is their poster boy. Mike Perry is their poster boy, but he doesn't have a weight division belt. He's not a champion of any specific weight class. He holds a belt. The belt he holds, the title he holds, is King of Violence, and I think that's cool. I really I'm finding more joy in made up titles when it comes to fighting. Sure, it's neat, it's cool when you're the champion of a weight class, but like in UFC, it's fun to see title fights, but I'm kind of more pumped on at this point, and there's only been two matches, two title matches for their BMF belts, and that's baddest mother effer in the organization. And it's weird because the BMF belt in UFC happened incidentally. I don't want to say accidentally, but it was kind of accidentally, but it was more incidentally. It was when Nate Diaz fought, who did he fight? I forget who he fought. Let's find out. Let's look this up. Let's see. UFC BMF. Oh, wow. AI, thank you. The BMF, or baddest mother effer in the game. Oh, it's baddest motherfucker. I didn't say it. I didn't finish the word. I try to keep it clean. I want this to be a family-ish kind of show. Not necessarily like sit your kids down and watch this, but if your kids happen to be around, I'd like for this not to, be something that you feel like you can't listen to or watch with them around, even though I happen to swear like a sailor in front of my kids. Personally, I don't really care. I don't think words hold like some magic voodoo. And if my kids drop like an F-bomb here and there, I go, "Hey, watch yourself." I don't personally necessarily care if it slips out of them at home, but I am cognizant. Correct word? I am cognizant of them letting it slip in front of other people. And I'm like, hey, watch it. Control yourself, basically, because you don't need to be saying that in front of like your friend's parents, or in Bane's case, like in front of his mom and her family and stuff like that, because, I just don't need that smoke. But anyhow, baddest mother effer in the game is an unofficial title in the UFC that is given to fighters who are fearless and have little control over their emotions. The title originated at UFC 244 in 2019 when Nate Diaz challenged Jorge Masvidal after Diaz called himself and Masvidal the baddest mother effers in the game. Masvidal ultimately won and took the title. And then, there's been 3. And then from there, Jorge Masvidal retired while holding that belt. So then, since it was held by a retired fighter, they put it up for grabs again between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. And in that fight, Justin Gaethje won. And everyone they've selected so far for the BMF belt have been very deserving. And I like how they're giving it to guys who are like within the range of title contention for a weight class. I guess now, I don't think, I guess Masvidal was within title contention because he did fight for the title after winning the belt. I also like that the belt is not up for grabs. So say the BMF title holder takes a fight after winning the BMF belt, and if they lose their next fight, they don't lose the belt because their next fight isn't necessarily in defense of said belt. Like they have to find an opponent that fits the status of a fighter who is fearless and has little control over their emotions, which I really like. I like that part. But yeah, let's see. I don't know who Nate Diaz beat, but after Nate Diaz won whatever fight that was, he said, I want to defend this title against Jorge Masvidal. He didn't win a title. Like the fight he won had zero, like nothing was on the line. But since he just made something up, Dana White was like, okay, that's a cool idea. Let's make a belt for this and we'll throw it into the mix. And it's interesting too, because so there's been 3 title holders of the BMF belt, and each one of these title holders lost their next fight, which is interesting. I think after Jorge Masvidal won the belt against Nate Diaz, he ended up fighting for the title against Kamaru Usman for the title, for the welterweight title. But losing the fight against Usman, he clearly didn't get the welterweight title, but he also didn't lose his belt to Usman, because Kamaru Usman is, he's one of the best welterweights of all time, but I wouldn't consider him if anybody, okay, look, anybody who even trains MMA, I think is a bad mother effer. And then if you are professionally fighting, you're even badder. And then if you're the most, I don't know, there's like a swagger to it, a personality to it. There's a demeanor to qualifying for that title. The second matchup between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje was very fitting, because both of those guys are like they're both BMFs. They're both bad dudes. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. I like it a lot. There's just you might not be like, okay, yeah, everyone who's fought for the belt, for the BMF belt, is definitely of champion caliber, but they may not be the better than the current weight class title holder, if that makes sense. You know, like for instance, okay, so Justin Gaethje beat Dustin Poirier for the belt, and then he defended the belt against, and actually Justin Gaethje was the first one to actually defend the BMF title. That was the first defense of that title, and he defended it against Max Holloway, who, again, Max Holloway is at 145, or yeah, it's 145. At 145, he's like right there. Like, he was ranked number one beneath the title holder at the time, who was Alexander Volkanovski. He dominated the division, but he just, for whatever reason, could not beat the champion. Like, he fought him 3 times, got beat 3 times. They were great fights each and every time, but he just could not take the title away. But he was so deserving of a title of some sort, and that's when the BMF came. You know, he was offered that. He beat Justin Gaethje in a pretty stunning fashion. He was definitely winning the fight all the way through, all 5 rounds. And then at the very last second, like literally at the 1 second mark, he knocked out Justin Gaethje in stunning fashion. And Max Holloway deserved the BMF title because, like, he's done it more than once, where he'll look at his opponent and he'll go to the center of the octagon and just start, like, he'll just point. He'll be like, come meet me here, and we're just gonna, as Derek Lewis says, slang and bang, and just gut it out, let it go. And he didn't need to do that in that fight. He could have just fought the same way he had fought the first 5 rounds, really. He dominated all 5 rounds, and he was actually expected to lose. He wasn't expected to beat Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje he fights at 155. Max Holloway fights at 145. And so you can kind of play with the, they're kind of catch weights fights, at least in that instance. When Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz fought, they both fought at 170. So it was very clear cut, the welterweight class. And then when Justin Gaethje fought Dustin Poirier, it was both of them fought at 155. So the Max Holloway Justin Gaethje fight was the first time that they took fighters from 2 different divisions. Not, a crazy weight difference. Like, they definitely have the capability and ability to. Was that redundant? Capability and ability? That was kind of redundant. They both have the capability of meeting at a weight class where they're, like, at a weight where they can meet at the same weight, is what I'm trying to get at. And then, so Justin Gaethje being the conventionally heavier fighter, he's just like a more stocky dude. He just seems more muscular. Max Holloway's more lean. It was just kind of expected that Gaethje, it was going to be a fun fight regardless, because Max Holloway never has a boring fight, and neither does Justin Gaethje. But it was just kind of expected, like, Max Holloway it's going to be a tough time in the office for him. But he pulled through, like, in stunning fashion, and he could have let it go to the judges, and he would have won the fight. But in true BMF fashion, he, in the last 10 seconds, put it on the line, said, meet me in the middle. He very easily could have been knocked out by Justin Gaethje in that moment. But he, like, the timing of it was unreal. And he earned the BMF title by being a BMF. His next fight was for the title in the 145 division against the current title holder, who is Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria. He, I combined Poirier and Topuria. I didn't realize until right now how freakishly similar those names are. He took a shot at the 145 title against Topuria and didn't win. He lost. He got knocked out, actually, in kind of a very heartbreaking way. Man, Ilia Topuria, I'm not a big fan of his. There's just something about him that I'm just kind of like, ugh. But there's no denying that he's just an outstanding fighter, because he was able to beat the fighter that Max Holloway couldn't beat, the 3-time Alexander Volkanovski. He was able to beat Alexander Volkanovski by knocking him out, which, I kind of have my opinions about that. Volkanovski got knocked out in that fight, but he was also coming off another fight that he got knocked out in, a fight that he never should have taken. It was a late notice fight. He took it in like 2 weeks, didn't have a camp. So at the time, Alexander Volkanovski was the champion of 145, and he decided to go for double champ status. He went up and fought the champion of 155, who is Islam Makhachev. And the first time they fought, it was a pretty good fight. It was a good fight. It was a close fight. I'd say there was no real denying that Islam Makhachev won the first fight, but it was definitely a harder fight for him than a lot of his opponents in Makhachev's weight class. And seeing that, it was like, wow, if they ran it back, there's a good likelihood that Volkanovski could beat him in a rematch. But Volk, I don't know, man. He just got overconfident, got cocky. I don't know, man. He took a title fight on short notice, and it was detrimental to his career, I think, because he got knocked out in a pretty aggressive way. Then he defended his belt at 145 against Topuria, got knocked out again, and he's been sitting out for a little bit now, and I think that's good, because when you get knocked out, man, I think you got to sit out for a hot minute. Like, there's no jumping back in. You're not going to jump back in at 100%. If you come back within 6 months, you're definitely not jumping back in at 100%. You're probably going to top out at like 95% at best. But he rolled the dice, didn't work out for him. I don't know where I'm going with this. I lost my train of thought, but anyhow, Max Holloway won the belt off Gaethje, then got knocked out by the same dude that was able to knock out the guy that Holloway could not beat. So anyway, Holloway lost the title fight, didn't lose his belt, which I think is appropriate, because Topuria, though a phenomenal fighter, again, like Usman, just doesn't have like the bad, like, he's not, there's no grit to him. He's a lot of very technical fighter, very highly skilled fighter, but he just does not have the BMF grit that I think is required to be to hold that BMF moniker. So Holloway still holds the BMF title, and I guess he'll have to defend it at some point, but that also means that the BMF belt is just like within this 145 to 170 range, which is cool. That does span 3 different weight classes, but that also takes out some of, like, the guys fighting at bantamweight or flyweight. It's just, and then what, you know, the light heavyweights and the heavyweights, are they, how does anybody in those divisions have the opportunity to fight for that belt unless the belt holder happens to retire? You know what I mean? Like, Holloway's never going to fight somebody at light heavyweight. I'm trying to think if there's anybody at light heavyweight right now who deserves the BMF title. Actually, the champion of light heavyweight, he's quickly become one of my favorite fighters, Shama. Alex Pereira. Pereira. It's not Pereira, it's Pereira. But I could see Alex Pereira being a BMF title holder, but how is he ever going to have that opportunity when the BMF belt is held by somebody 3 weight classes beneath him? And actually, Pereira is really kind of the only person at light heavyweight right now that I could see being worthy of that title. And then in heavyweight, maybe Derek Lewis would be cool to see fight for a BMF title. But again, how is he going to fight Max Holloway? Like, he could eat Max Holloway. That's 4 weight class. Derek Lewis fights at heavyweight, and that's like, you know, so light heavyweight's 205. Heavyweight is, you know, from 205 to the moon. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. Do you have more than one belt? And then there's like the women's divisions where there are some women who definitely could for sure fight for for a BMF title, like Rose Namajunas. Thug Rose definitely could be a BMF for sure. But I don't really know if there's too many other female fighters who are bad like that. Maybe Juliana Pena. She's pretty cool. But Misha Tate, maybe? I don't know. There's a lot that can be done with BMF, but they really gotta figure it out. You know, like, do you do a BMF for every weight class? But then that's no fun because, like with Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, they're not in the same division, but that was a fight that needed to happen. Like, that was cool. Did it need to happen? I don't know. I'm glad it happened though. So who knows? But I love the idea of these, like, just rando belts. I don't know if they could do another one. Maybe they could do a King of Violence within the UFC, but then that's just kind of like ripping off Bare Knuckle. And then in Bare Knuckle, King of Violence is Mike Perry, who also, he could fluctuate in weight too. So I'm curious to see who in Bare Knuckle Mike Perry. I think Mike Perry beat Eddie Alvarez for King of Violence, and that's how he got that title. But I want more of these. I want more just kind of like offshoot titles. There you go. That's something I want to see in 2025 is Max Holloway defending the BMF belt against somebody. I don't know who, but I want to see him. I definitely want to see him defend the belt against someone. I'm trying to think who it would be. So if Max Holloway's 145, he could fight anybody from like 135 to 155. I don't know if he could push it to 170 because those 170 fighters are big boys. So, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But if I had to pick someone within the lightweight and featherweight classes, I don't know. Justin Poirier says he's going to come back for one more fight. Maybe give him the opportunity. That'd be kind of cool. If he was able to beat Max Holloway, retire as the title holder, then you could take the BMF belt and kind of like move it wherever you want it to go. It would be cool to see Sean Strickland fight for a BMF title. He's up there fighting for the middleweight title this year against Dricus Duplessis, which I think so that would be the second time they're squaring off, because Strickland beat Israel Adesanya and won the belt off Izzy, and then lost the belt in his first defense to Duplessis, which I think was kind of controversial because I really thought Strickland pulled it out. I thought he won. Dana White thought he won too. So it went to the judges, and anytime a fight goes to the judges, it's like, here we go. Like, cause I don't get it. Who are these MMA judges? Because more often than not, it really truly seems like the judges are either watching a different fight or have no idea how to like score an MMA fight. So yeah, if a fight ever goes the distance and goes to the judges, like who knows what's gonna happen, unless it's like very clear cut, who obviously dominated. If it's a close fight, it's a toss up. But will Strickland beat Duplessis in the rematch? I don't know. I want to say he can. I do truly believe he can, but I don't know. When Izzy challenged Duplessis to get his belt back, he lost in a very clear-cut fashion. He got tapped. So there's really no denying that. We'll see, though. We'll see if Strickland does not win the belt. If he does not regain the title of middleweight champion, then it'd be cool to see him fight for a BMF title. He could fight anyone from 170 or 155. There's not. So if okay, let's just play a scenario out. If Dustin Poirier comes back for his last fight and fights Max Holloway for the BMF title, which would be cool because they had fought previously, and Dustin Poirier does have a win over Max Holloway. He definitely can win that fight. He said that his next fight is more than likely, almost definitely going to be his last fight. Retires, holding the BMF title, then you can take the title and put it wherever you want. I would definitely put Strickland in a BMF fight against we're looking at, oh wait, no, that wouldn't be 170. He's at middleweight, so that's 185. So he could fight anyone in 185 or 170. Maybe what's his name? Oh my gosh, Shemaev. Shemaev would be a good fight for that, but also Shemaev is up there for title contention too. But that doesn't mean anything. You can be in title contention and still fight for BMF. That'd be a cool fight. That'd be a real cool fight. But he's really, Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker would be a really cool fight against Sean Strickland for a BMF title. That would be a real cool fight. Bobby Knuckles against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is definitely a BMF. Like, he's nothing but grit. Like, he is all American, bleeding red, white, and blue, working class dude. I mean, he's not really a working class dude now. He was a former UFC champion. Like, he's definitely well off. But he's a man that is just nothing but grit. I would just straight up state that Robert Whittaker is all grit too. And he's coming off a loss against Khamzat Chimaev, which that was a devastating loss for him. He fought well ish, but Chimaev is a monster. Chimaev got him in a rear naked choke, I think, and didn't get the choke. He crushed his jaw. Like, you know, broken jaws aren't uncommon, but they most commonly happen by getting punched in the jaw, not having like a choke that's a little too high, because you like really, if you're choking somebody, you want the neck. Chimaev didn't need the neck. He just crushed Robert Whittaker's face and then broke his jaw. And that's some true grit as well. That's bad mother effer ability right there. So yeah, so those three at 185 are good contenders for a BMF title. But then if we're going to play with the range of, you can either go up or down a weight class. Beneath 185 is 170, and those are the welterweights. Is there anybody in welterweight that's a BMF right now? And I don't really think so. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see like Wonder Boy get a shot at it, but Wonder Boy's not a bad mother effer. He's an NMF, nice mother effer. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is like, nice to a fault almost. So he definitely doesn't qualify for a BMF title, because you can't have like, I don't know. Because Max Holloway's a really nice guy too. But he has that like meet me in the center and we're just gonna like slug it out. That's grit. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a lot of grit to Wonder Boy. Yeah. So yeah, for argument's sake, let's just say Poirier fights his last fight against Max Holloway for BMF, wins, retires, the belt becomes floating, take it up to 185, let Sean Strickland fight for it against Robert Whittaker. I'd say that. If, and that's a big if, he's unable to reclaim his title against Dricus du Plessis. So I don't think a champion of a division should ever be able to fight for a BMF title, because you're already you're kind of already the baddest in your division if you're the champion, right? I feel like the BMF belt is for the guys who are champion material, but just they're just not able to grab it, necessarily. So I'd like to see a BMF fight in 2025 between Poirier and Holloway. And if we can get 2 BMF fights in 1 year, if Holloway beats Poirier, then the belt would have to stay within the 145 or the 135 to 155 range. And then that just kind of opens a whole bunch of other, realm of possibilities. I think Max Holloway's done fighting at 145. I think he wants to fight at 155, and fighting Dustin Poirier would be a really rad opportunity for him, because if he's already ranked. I think Max Holloway is already ranked within the lightweight division. UFC lightweight rankings. Let's see if Holloway's up there, because beating Justin Gaethje was ranked within the top 5 lightweights when he lost to Max Holloway. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Max Holloway is currently ranked number 2 in the featherweight division, and then he's ranked number 5 in the lightweight division. So Max Holloway is ranked number 5 in the lightweight division, and Dustin Poirier is ranked number 4. You know what? I bet you anything, Dustin Poirier's last fight will be against Max Holloway, and there's no way you don't put the BMF title up between those two. Like, you have to. Dustin Poirier already fought for the BMF title against Justin Gaethje, lost. Then Gaethje lost to Holloway, but Dustin Poirier has a win over Holloway in the past. So I guarantee you, I can definitely, I'd break the bank betting that that's going to be the fight. Poirier, his last fight will be against Holloway. It will be for the BMF title. And then there you go. Oh, Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's a real good option too. But if it's Dustin Poirier's last fight, you got to put him up against a name. And not to say that, like, I mean, there's a slew of names in the lightweight division. The lightweight division's always been nothing but heavy hitters. I feel like I heard rumblings of possibly Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker for Poirier's next fight and last fight, potentially last fight, probable last fight. But I'd much, much rather see a rematch against Max Holloway, and they're ranked right next to each other. Dan Hooker's number 6, so you could put Dan Hooker against Max Holloway for the BMF because Dan Hooker is definitely a BMF. But the history between Poirier and Holloway is just too fun to not do. And then if Max Holloway beats Poirier, he jumps up to number 4. Hooker jumps to number 5. Then you could have another BMF match between Hooker and Holloway that does play into the title contention, rankings in the lightweight division. So that'd be a really cool fight to see too. Max Holloway and Dan Hooker. That'd be a really cool fight to see. So there's a lot of fun possibilities for 2025 with the BMF and within the lightweight division. Another fight that I'm really looking forward to for 2025 within the lightweight division is our hometown hero, Michael Chandler, pride and joy of Nashville. He's coming back to fight, and this hasn't been, I don't think it's been set in stone. It hasn't been officially announced, but we did get a little tease online from Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, who's ranked number 13 currently. He, at the end of a social media post, he put "See you at the top," and that's Michael Chandler's like thing. See you at the top. So that would be, that's, I don't know, man. Like, how do you say "see you at the top" and you're not like in talks to fight Michael Chandler? 13-5. Oh no, wait, 7. Michael Chandler's ranked number 7 right now. 13-7 is not the most, unheard of matchup when it comes to like jumping ranks. It's quite the jump. Michael Chandler. I love Michael Chandler. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I believe former Bellator champion, if I'm not mistaken. Came to the UFC, fought Dan Hooker, won, made a name for himself within the UFC there. Then had maybe a couple. I don't know. He had some unsuccessful fights. Like he lost to Charles Oliveira for they fought for the 155 title, and then he also lost to Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. Like he's on a he doesn't have the best record in the UFC, but he's also fought nothing but killers. You know, he hasn't really fought anybody like down in the ranks. Well, you know, maybe that's not entirely true. He fought Tony Ferguson, but oh man, there's another thing right there. And I got Tony Ferguson's attention on X once, saying that like I think it's time. I don't. Is there anyone out there who disagrees that Tony Ferguson, it's time to retire? Tony Ferguson is on like the skid of skids. He's lost like his last 4 or 5 fights. It's time to retire. Michael Chandler beat him, kicked him in the head, like underneath the jaw, and like flattened his face. You can look at that picture of that is a gruesome photo. Like literally kicked him in the jaw and like smushed Tony Ferguson's face. It's a gnarly picture. So he has his only 2 wins are over Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson. Dan Hooker is a real that's a good reputable win. A win over Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's a legend, so he has a win over a legend, but like Tony's not in his prime. And I suggested that on X once, and Tony Ferguson like responded kindly, but just very much in denial that it's his time to retire. I don't know how many more beatings Tony Ferguson can take. But so Michael Chandler, let's just say he is set up to fight Paddy Pimblett. Chandler needs a win. Chandler needs to win to maintain title relevancy in the lightweight division. If he loses to Paddy Pimblett, then he's bumped down to like what I like to call like gatekeeper status, where he's a name for like up and comers to beat, to jump into title talk. But I'd like to see Chandler remain within the realm of title talk. You know what I mean? But Chandler lost 2 years. He lost 2 years of like his prime fighting years waiting for Conor McGregor. And I 1000% don't believe Conor McGregor is going to come back to the UFC and fight. I don't think he will ever. I don't think we'll ever see McGregor in the UFC again. And if we do, I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to be entertaining by any means. It kind of seems like he's ducking Michael Chandler. I really think Chandler could beat Conor McGregor fairly easily. But then I also saw like some rumblings that maybe it'll be Dan Hooker that Conor fights, and Conor will most definitely lose that fight as well. So if and that kind of plays into my theory of like Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, and then it would be Hooker versus McGregor, and then Chandler is Paddy Pimblett's test to jump up into the top 10. And here's the thing about that too, is like Paddy Pimblett is young, he is fierce, he is highly skilled. He is not going to be an easy bounce back for Michael Chandler. Like Chandler needs to win his next fight to maintain title relevancy. But it's gonna be a tough night in the office for him. Within the top 15, I'd like to see. Man, that would be a hard fight for him too. That'd be a cool fight as well, though. If we got Paddy Pimblett versus Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev has not fought in a hot minute. He needs to fight. He needs somebody to fight. Beneil Dariush is number 9. That would also be a cool fight for Michael Chandler. That'd be some bragging rights if he was able to beat Dariush. Yeah, see, like everybody within the top 10 in the lightweight division, they're all like, it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to be in title talk. Man, I like Rafael Fiziev too. I just realized he has not shown up in a minute. That'd be a cool follow-up fight, though. If Paddy Pimblett is able to beat Michael Chandler, then give Rafael Fiziev his shot at the top 10 against Pimblett. But they're not going to do that. I wouldn't imagine. If Pimblett's able to beat the number 7, he's definitely going to be fighting top 5 from there. And then if Dustin Poirier retires after his next fight, everybody kind of like steps up. So Rafael Fiziev did fight Justin Gaethje and did not win. Yeah, there's a lot of cool possibilities. I really do. Oh, man, this last time when Michael Chandler fought, so in Nashville and at our gym, Nashville MMA, Michael Chandler's tied in, with Nashville MMA. And it was going around like, who do you think's going to win? And it's so heartbreaking to like, we have a top 10 UFC like credibility at Nashville MMA being tied to Michael Chandler. But, his last fight was against Charles Oliveira, who's ranked number 2 currently. And it was very like, he had lost previously to Oliveira for the title, and when he fought him in the rematch, the talks around the gym were like, hey, do you think you can do it? And I didn't really encounter very many people who were like confidently, saying, yeah, Chandler, of course, he could beat Oliveira. I mean, yeah, some people did say it, but then you kind of looked at them like, are you sure? And, I felt bad when I was asked. They were like, hey, who do you think, who do you think's going to win between Oliveira and Chandler? And I was just kind of like, I know I'm supposed to say Chandler, but like realistically, and as it turns out, didn't pull through. But Michael Chandler's not a boring fighter, even though he's lost like his last few fights. They've all been against like the top guys within the top 4 of the lightweight division, and he's put on a show each and every time. So it's not like he's getting dominated per se. He's in there. He's a dog. He's definitely like, he's in it to win it. But there's just, I don't know what the hang up is. I don't know. Like in the fight against Justin Gaethje, Chandler, sometimes it seems when Chandler goes into the octagon, like he loses his fight IQ. Like he has the strength, he has the skills, but like you don't walk up to Justin Gaethje with your hands down. You know what I mean? You keep him up. You don't walk up to him with your hands at your side, like calling to him, because you're gonna get smashed. And he did. He got pretty, brutalized in that fight. But that's what happens when you keep your hands down against Justin Gaethje. It's wild. It's wild that that's something he did, like at all. Yeah, it's wild. But let's say, if I were to be asked, do you think Michael Chandler can beat Paddy Pimblett? I don't know. Paddy Pimblett is on a tear. Like he hasn't fought anybody of like true notoriety in the lightweight division. He beat Bobby Green or King Green. He beat King Green in a submission. I think he choked him unconscious. So that would be like the biggest name that he's fought thus far. Then Michael Chandler would be like the next biggest name that he's fought. And Pimblett will be champion, I think, eventually. If he beats Chandler, I don't know, man. I don't see Paddy Pimblett beating the likes of like Islam Makhachev. Now, if Paddy Pimblett went up against Justin Gaethje, maybe. I definitely do see a world where Paddy Pimblett's able to beat Justin Gaethje. Is he able to beat Charles Oliveira? I don't know. I think Paddy Pimblett's skill set, his top skill set is within jiu-jitsu, but then again, so is Charles Oliveira, and Charles Oliveira is like a jiu-jitsu master. So that would be a really cool fight to see. I don't see a lot of that fight being conducted on the feet. I think a lot of that would end up on the ground. But then it'd be wild if one of them knocked out the other, and they're both like jiu-jitsu guys, which Charles Oliveira is very capable of knocking people. I think he knocked out Michael Chandler in their first fight. Yeah, so that's wild. So that's what I'm looking forward to most, I'd say, in 2025. Another exciting fight in 2025 is Israel Adesanya in the middleweight division. Israel Adesanya is going to fight oh man, I can't pronounce this guy's name. Nasruddin Imavov. I don't know, man. That's exciting in the way of like, because that's going to be a fight night fight. So there in UFC, there's fight nights, and then there's like the pay-per-view fights. The fight nights are always free from start, to finish. The pay-per-views are like, you get the early prelims, the prelim fights, and then you get the main card, which is pay-per-view. The main card in fight nights is not pay-per-view. It's just part of it. So this is the first time you're going to get to see Israel Adesanya fight that you're not going to have to pay extra for in years. So that's going to be interesting. And it's going to be a 3-round fight too. No, it'll be a 5-round because that's the main event. So it'll still be a 5-round fight, but it's not going to be pay-per-view. And it's the first time we've seen Israel Adesanya fight a non-pay-per-view fight in, like I said, years. So I'm excited to see that. I'm bummed that Izzy isn't champion because I like Izzy a lot and I like him as a champion, but I don't know, man. When you have like such dominant champions, once they lose the belt, they kind of remain within the top of their division, but they don't necessarily easily regain their title. With the exception of Izzy losing to Pereira and then beating him to get his title back. That was a rare occurrence and a fun storyline to follow. But yeah, beyond that, I think that's about it. Pereira is going to be defending his title against Magomed Ankalaev, which is going to be a rough fight for him. But I just don't see Alex Pereira losing. He lost to Izzy at middleweight, and I think a lot of like why he lost to Izzy at middleweight was because Alex Pereira is not a middleweight. Like, he's very clearly a light heavyweight. He could even fight up at heavyweight, but he's a big guy, but he's not like a big guy. You know what I mean? Those heavyweights are like bulky big boys. Pereira is a giant, but he's like a cut big boy. He's not a bulky big boy. So, Alex Pereira fighting the likes of like Tom Aspinall, I don't know if that would go well. It wouldn't really go it wouldn't be guaranteed in Pereira's favor because it's just like that size difference, man. Like Tom Aspinall just has to sit on him, and I don't know if Pereira could to get out of that. So ultimately, Pereira is where he belongs, champion of the lightweight division. I think he will beat Magomed or Ankalaev. I mean, Magomed is his first name, so I didn't really need to correct myself, but I'm able to say Ankalaev better than I am able to say Magomed. But yeah, so that's ultimately what I'm looking forward to most coming up in MMA, more, specifically UFC. But again, when it comes to MMA, it's really UFC or kind of almost irrelevant. That's probably very rude of me to say. Some other fight, what are they? Promotions. I'm excited to see more bare knuckle. Apparently there's some like craziness happening within bare knuckle. They got some big fights lined up, so they say, and I believe them. But then also Mike Perry, even though he is the king of violence in bare knuckle, he started his own fight promotion called Dirty Boxing, which I don't entirely understand the rule set to Dirty Boxing. I know it's bare knuckle, but I think there's like some MMA elements added into it. I don't know. Let's look it up. What are the rule sets to Mike Perry's Dirty Boxing? Dirty Boxing rules. All right, let's see. The rules of Dirty Boxing Championship, a new combat sport organization created by Mike Perry, are as follows. Gloves. It's not bare knuckle. So gloves, they wear 5-ounce gloves. Elbows are allowed. Ground and pound. Ground and pound is allowed, but fighters must remain on both feet while doing so. Okay, so you can't straddle your opponent like you can in MMA in ground and pound. You have to keep on your feet and punch down, which is kind of almost more brutal. Rounds. Regular fights are 3 rounds of 3 minutes each. 3-minute rounds. Interesting. While champion fights are 5 rounds of 3 minutes each. Okay. Ring fights take place in an 18-foot ring. Weight classes are expected to mirror MMA traditional divisions. Okay, so yeah, so it is okay. So it's just boxing with smaller gloves, and you can ground and pound, but there's no grappling involved. Okay, so Dirty Boxing Championship is intended to be a hybrid rule set for fighters who want to compete in something other than bare knuckle boxing. Got it. But they say compete in something other than bare knuckle, so you just have. I mean, you're not bare knuckle in Dirty Boxing. So how does it really correlate with BKFC? So let's look at BKFC rules. Let's see. Rules for BKFC are Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship rules. Fighters are permitted to wrap and tape the wrist, thumb, and mid-hand. No gauze or tape can be within 1 inch of the knuckles. Fighters will toe the line, in quotes. There are 2 lines 3 feet apart in the center of the ring where fighters will start each round. Okay, so it's just bare knuckle boxing. But that's kind of a stretch where you go. So Dirty Boxing is for guys who want to fight something other than bare knuckle, but they have 5-ounce gloves, where in bare knuckle is no gloves at all. You can't even like wrap your knuckles. I don't know. It's cool. I mean, it's fun to watch. Yoel Romero just fought a dude. Never mind. He didn't fight a guy. It was so rude what they did. Because I think the dude that he fought was like a slap fight champion. So Yoel Romero fought a slap fight guy in dirty boxing and just like flatlined him. And the dude he fought was like these slap fight guys, like the big slap fight guys, are just kind of like fat dudes. And Yoel Romero is like the polar opposite of a fat guy. So it was unnecessary what they did. I'd like to see Yoel Romero in Bare Knuckle. That'd be cool to see. That would be vicious to see. That'd be deadly. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in UFC, bare knuckle, and dirty boxing, and then I broke down, the fights in UFC that I'm most looking forward to for 2025. Not bad, man. That was an hour. I want another hour. In all fight talk. That's crazy. Wow. I get carried away on these. I was aiming for to keep these daily podcasts under an hour, and I have dramatically failed in that. But yeah, okay, cool. I guess all that being said, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're not a fight fan, sorry, this may not have been the episode for you. And if you're not a fight fan, why not? Go check it out. It's the best sport around. Fighting in general is combat sports are the best sports. I'm not a team sport guy. I'm just not. Football doesn't interest me. Baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer. I like soccer, but that's like a heritage thing. I'm Portuguese. That's just, it's part of the culture. Hey, you know what? Something else that's not fight related. I've decided I want to start getting into the hot sauce game. I want to start making hot sauces. Maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow will be the hot sauce episode. We'll deep dive into how I'm gonna go ahead and approach making a hot sauce. Yeah, that's exciting. I wore the right shirt though. I wore the right shirt. Like I own anything else that's not Leal Legacy. Speaking of Leal Legacy though, go and check out leallegacy.com and scope out all the other killer content we have available for you. If you're not a fight fan, there's a bunch of non-fight related content we have up there. Yesterday's episode had very little to do with fighting. If any, I don't think I touched on it at all, honestly. Yeah, leallegacy.com. Check out our commentaries. Check out our family vlog, Legacy of Leal. We got more videos to come from our recent Disney World trips. We also have a POV channel called Legacy View, which is similar to Leal or Legacy of Leal, but it's less vloggy and more just like, my point of view going on Disney rides. That's ultimately what that channel is. Scope out Leal Legacy Gaming and follow my son Bane through all his... I just burped like twice. Excuse me. I'm sorry. But I kept them fairly silent. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Scope out Leal Legacy Gaming. Check out what Bane's got going on over on that channel. Commentaries. I don't know. Just go look. Go listen to the music we got going. We're creating over there. There's just a bunch of stuff. New stuff every single day. Now, literally every day, new podcast every day, leallegacy.com and across all your favorite podcast platforms. Show your support. Each and everything we do, we sponsor ourselves. Legacy Club clothing. Go pick yourself up something nice. This is up there. A lot of this logo in various patterns. Some original concept designs that are Disney inspired. A lot of them are Disney inspired. Some not Disney inspired. If you're a fight fan, check out our Blue Suede Bruiser shirt. it's our take on if Elvis was king of the ring instead of, king of rock and roll. What else? Yeah, scope out our store. If you don't see anything that appeals to you, or if you just don't have some extra cash that you want to throw around right now, the best way to support us beyond financially is showing your support on our various YouTube channels by liking, subscribing, leaving comments. Same with the podcast platforms. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating. Yeah, you know the deal. And with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, thanks for being a friend and telling a friend. See you later. See you tomorrow.